Hey, you ready for some interpretation magic? I can't wait to share with you. For the past short while, we've been really focused, at least in reaching out to our constituency, on the whole principle of RED, R-E-D, and how you interpret scans. Scans have taken over the world, which means that that's a great thing for chiropractic because it keeps it neurologically focused. And of course, once you do the scan, what you really want to do is have the confidence to know, what is it telling me? What do I say? So the what I see, what I say principle is very great on this one. I want to share with you this wonderful case study that came across my desk, and I'll give you a little bit of the case history. This is a 54-year-old male who has been regularly adjusted, which is wonderful. And this was the opportunity after he had a lifestyle discussion with his chiropractor, and the chiropractor said, hey, listen, you've been regularly adjusted. Why don't you add some physical activity? And so I put this down as the initial. It's not his first scan in life, but it's the initial one after the conversation about lifestyle management. And you know what? Let's go through the RED sequence on the top to the top scan sequence, which will go through the RED. So on the far left is the HRV, and you can see that in good news, his white dot or his plot is above that line, and so he's up in the upper left quadrant. Well, we know that those people who can hang in that upper left quadrant, albeit it's not too far up there, but we know that people who can hang out in the upper left quadrant have a lot of autonomic reserve, or at least more than the average person. And that means that his well-adjusted state was ready to take on new tasks, but he is sympathetic dominant. And so we have to make sure that this new strategy that he's got in play, and these are questions clinically that you would ask, are not exhausting him, because he's predisposed, as you can see, out of sync, sympathetic dominant, parasympathetic insufficient, tilting to the left, but still with plenty of reserve. So that's a good starting point. It's like, yay, you've got some great reserve, some horsepower in your system. Let's use it. And of course, he begins to use it. And you can start to see the activity levels that have now erupted within the neuropostural range. Now, that's going to make an exhausted relationship. That's the dyskinesis. And we hope it's temporary, but we're going to find that out in the progress or the comparative exam as we go down the path. And then there's this locked-in relationship into these thermals. Not really satisfied. What I didn't tell you in the history was that this is a man who has some 54-year-old male who has some chronic digestive and bowel disruption. Can you see way down here, which is really cool, that we see that even though he's only showing on his NCM a little bit of a shift there, he is actually in a cooling trend on the DTG. And that usually indicates that chronicity of the subluxation on the end organ responsiveness. And as a result of that, we'll be watching to see that that breaks up, as well as the reorganizing of that balance. So R being that we've got HRV, E being that there's an exhaustive relationship through the EMG, and D meaning that there's a depth of change both chronically and now actively that's going on. So let's see what happens after we put him through his adjustive care, but also he's maintaining his level of abilities when it comes to lifestyle. Sure enough, all of a sudden the well-adjusted state starts to perk up. Now we're adding a positive experience that's going on, and sure enough we start to see that there's this positivity that's coming into that scan. He's moving literally upright, which means that he's coming closer to the green zone. We could call that the green zone, which means it's sitting in the well-adjusted state. And look at the tone that's being recovered in that EMG. Fantastic. That means that we've got this wonderful opportunity that's just staying in play. Sure, we could make a conversation about that T4 mid-thoracic region being T6 being a little bit, dyspnetic and reactive. But what a change from scan 1 to scan 2 here. And sure enough, we start to see a leveling out in the D side, which is the dysautonomic. But take a look here, and we'll go one more time down into the DTG. You'll still notice that there's that cooling trend, but it's much less visible as we go down in through this one. So what does it mean? You have a conversation with the patient. You say, listen, all the hard work you're doing to get yourself adjusted goes far beyond what you're feeling. It's how you're functioning. And as a result of that, this means that your body is in the perfect place for you to take on more positive tasks. Positive tasks like the reaction of putting fitness into your life, because we know that you have to have this generated activity that's going to really heal and build the strength and resilience into your nervous system. We do have the ability to watch that chronic state that you've had for years and years and years of that digestive and bowel upset. I've got some good news that even though you put a task into your system, you have the ability to recover and become even more resilient. This is fantastic. We have all the tools to watch you every step of the way. Go get them. Let me give you as much advice as I can, but my greatest strength for you is that I'm going to be behind the scenes tuning up your nervous system every step of the way. Sound good? Have a great one, everybody.